Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm an analytics architect with the IBM Maximo Asset Management team. Today, we're going to continue our Maximo 761 Cognos Analytics video series when we're reviewing our data sources, and I'm specifically going to talk about a data server. As we previously highlighted, before you create a Cognos report or a dashboard, you need to start or select your data source, and there's a number of different ways that you can do that with Cognos Analytics. Today, we're going to talk about the specific data server connection. That is, how can I connect to my Maximo database, whether that's my production Maximo database, a replicated copy, a development, or a test copy. So first, let's start with the mechanics. As the administrator, you sign into Cognos Analytics or launch there from Maximo, and you access Manage Data Server Connection. When you do this, it brings up a dialog where you first select your database type, Oracle, DB2, or SQL Server for Maximo, and then you specify the connection properties. What's the URL? What's the port number? What's the sign-in, username, and password? After you've entered that information, you do a test of the connectivity, and assuming it comes back with a success. After you've connected to the database, it's very important to note that you have to load the metadata, the Maximo objects. As you load the metadata, this may take some time. I've done it locally here, and it's taken me in the range of 10 to 20 minutes for a simple Max demo system that has over 1,600 database objects, but for your environments, which may have cloned applications, industry solutions, etc., it may take a little bit more time. So please plan that when you're setting up this data server connection, it can take you a little bit of time. After it has been loaded, you'll receive that green check mark that the data server or the data connection is complete. So now once you have your data server, for your users to start using this to create their dashboards and reports, you actually want to create a data module. And the data module will specify of all those 1,700 database objects you have in Maximo, which ones are available to the user. And this is a really important step because we don't want to overwhelm our Maximo users. We want to make them successful and highlight or skinny down those 1,700 objects to those objects that are most important when they're creating report content. And you can create any number of these data modules as you want. This is that web-based model. You're now getting away from having to create the content in Framework Manager and enables you as the admin to create this content on the fly for your users for them to quickly begin. So let me do a demonstration of how easy this is. So first, as the administrator in Cognos, I come to Manage, and then I can come to my data server connections. I have one pre-populated here, but if I select New, I can see all the data types available. But for Maximo, we have DB2, Oracle, and SQL Server. And with that new user interface and sliding windows, you can see all the information that Cognos has prompted me for. What's my sign into my database? I input my username and password, but also I have to come back here and then I set up my URL and port number. Well, I'm not going to do that right now, but again, it's going to take you some time. I would plan on a minimum of 30 minutes to an hour to set up your database connection and load that metadata. But let's come home and instead, and let's start creating a data module. So now I'm going to come New, and I'm going to select Data Module, and I'm going to select it from my predefined Maximo connection, and I'm going to say I'm OK. So again, my data server, this is my database. I want to use the Maximo schema. I click Done, and now what I'm going to see is after it shows me all my sources, is these are all the tables in Maximo that I brought in. Now we can see there's quite a bit, so now you can see the beauty and the functionality of this search. I want to come right here, take my asset table, and let's take something pretty simple here to get started. Let's look for my companies table and bring that in. So I'm creating a data module, web-based data module based on my Maximo asset table and my Maximo companies table. Couple important things is I need to join these two tables together. So how am I going to do that? Well, I can highlight my table and I'm going to say I want to create a relationship. So what is the relationship between asset and companies? Well, it's based on my manufacturer of my asset. What's my table? I only have one in this case, and it's based on my company. So again, asset manufacturer to company's company. I can see my data in my two tables. Now I need to navigate here on the bottom and say, what is my join? Well, it's actually a left outer join because I don't always have a company's information for every asset that I have. And it's also one-to-one. Every asset can only have a single manufacturer. So I'm going to say OK. I can click refresh. So if I scroll all the way over here, let's do a quick check. Let's see, asset number 52300. Who is my manufacturer? Did I see him over here? I thought I saw him. Let me quickly do this again here. You can tell this is a live demo, which is always really good, right? Because that's what we're all here for. And as I scroll over here, I thought I scrolled over here and I can start to see my, here we go. Here's my company manufacturer BWC. So BWC is the manufacturer of asset and it's also the company value of my company's table. So I brought that over correctly. And now when I come back, whoops, I lost him a little bit too quickly. I'm creating my data module here. Whoops, here I am. I've joined my asset to companies together. This will show me all my data if I'm interested. So now I've given my users the ability to create a dashboard or report based on this information, but I then need to save it. I'm going to save it as, I'm going to put it in my folder. Let me create a new folder here, dev data sources, I'll just call it, and I'm going to call it asset companies information and put it right there and then save. Perfect. Now let me come home. Under my content, here's my folder, and now I can start creating a report really quickly. Open up my blank, and here's my asset and company's value, so I can create that report or dashboard. So again, that's a quick demonstration of how you can set up your data server, bring in the metadata, and then create a data module based on a selected number of tables from that data server connection. And then once those data module is created, they're available to your end users for their report and dashboard creation. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much. And as we go into our next video series, we'll be looking at file imports. Thank you very much for your time.